Hello everyone and welcome to this week of First and 10. I am joined as always with the booster to my Turbo Man, Matt Etchier. As we're getting closer to the holiday season, I felt I had to throw a nice little Christmassy reference in there, of course, from the greatest Christmas film of all time, Jingle All the Way. I'm sure many of you out there know about that classic with the Governator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Sinbad. And for you Star Wars fans, of course, Anakin Skywalker is the kid in the movie. But this is, of course, not a film show. This is a football show, and lots to talk about after a really exciting week in the National Football League. Of course, the games were separated from... Thursday I had a great Thanksgiving set of games, especially that Houston-Detroit game, probably being my favorite game of the year so far. If you had to rate it, I'd probably give that one about a 4.5 stars. That was a fantastic game. And then, you had another close one with your Dallas and the Redskins, and the Patriots just mopping the floor.
Killing the Jets.
With the Jets.
Embarrassment.
And just some excitement throughout the rest of the National Football League. But I guess before we get all into the NFL, we'll keep it a little Canadian here, eh? We'll just we'll enjoy our waters and talk about the Grey Cup for just a smidgen of a second here. Of course, it was the 100th Grey Cup up here in Canada, in Toronto, and of course the Toronto Argonauts actually got to play in the Grey Cup as they won the Eastern Division and they hosted the Calgary Stampeders. It was a game. That's the best way I guess you can put it.
Yeah.
One team really showed up. The other, I don't know what happened to the other team. I guess I'll let you start. What was your overall feeling of the Grey Cup?
Well, it's the 100th Grey Cup. It was going to be special no matter what the score was. It was unfortunate that Calgary didn't come to play. Argos just dominated. Basically, after that very first play, Argos threw an interception. After that, they dominated the rest of the game, and Calgary just could not get any momentum offensively and couldn't come back. Now, I think Argos also got a few calls go their way, which could have changed the game quite a bit. But it was fun anyway. I had a Grey Cup party over at my place. Lots of food, lots of adult beverages, and it was a lot of fun. Great 100th Grey Cup, and can't wait for 101 next year.
Well, it was, to me, I think, an interesting game. I was kind of stunned at the lack of flags, and I don't know if that's a good thing for me to be wishing for more flags, but I felt sometimes it could have been a little bit more flags. Certainly going for Calgary, I think there were a couple pass interferences not called, especially in the end zone. Calgary didn't show up. I felt really bad for Kevin Glenn. His big chance to finally prove what kind of quarterback, at least I know he can be because I've seen him play in Hamilton. What he did this year, obviously, in Calgary, and he doesn't step up at all. Really, that Argo defense was just fantastic.
Dominant.
Just shutting him down. One of the interceptions the only interception that Kevin Glenn actually threw was returned for a touchdown. I guess lastly about the game, the one thing a lot of people in the CFL are having theories of is that the CFL this year was kind of fixed and a bit of collusion as the Edmonton Eskimos traded their quarterback for no apparent reason to Toronto, and the defensive coordinator for Toronto was Calgary's old one. He was tampered with. They kind of just signed him when he was still under contract. So what are your thoughts? Is this a little bit of collusion, or was it just one team totally outplaying the other?
I think definitely in the game it was the Argos definitely outplaying Calgary. In terms of that whole thing, all I can say it's quite the conspiracy theory. It would if it's all true, that's unprecedented in professional sports. So I don't believe it, but like I said, it's a conspiracy theory. Everybody has them.
I don't think so much so with Edmonton. I think it's maybe Edmonton thinking they had to save maybe some money. I don't know. It's a CFL. They're not making that much money in terms of revenue, especially in some of those markets. But I don't know. The one thing that I didn't even really know about was how Toronto gets Calgary's defensive coordinator. That's kind of that's kind of dirty. How I find how he's still under contract, man, and then they're tampering with him and just to get him to come over. That's totally unethical. But I guess the motto in the world of sports, the hell with ethics. But that was really the Grey Cup game. I'm sure many of you may have maybe seen the highlights on YouTube of the halftime show with
Justin Bieber.
The Biebs. He let's be real, actually rocked it. It was okay.
I wish Nicki Minaj was there with him.
No, she wasn't. I guess it had to be a full Canadian thing.
I guess.
Carly Rae Jepsen actually wasn't that bad. However, when she started playing the other song instead of "Call Me Maybe," I'm like, I was like, what the hell is this? We don't need that. Was it Gordon Lightfoot was the opener?
Yeah.
God, man, where did they unravel him from? What tomb did he
I've
come
never
out?
seen so many liver spots in my life.
That man, it looks like the zombie from Tales of the Crypts. And the other band, whatever they're called, I want to say Alexis on Fire, but it's not them because they're actually a decent band.
I don't know who the other band is.
I forget the other band. Oh, Mariana's Trench was the other band. My God, could they have looked more gay? Let's be real. Like, you're 50 years old in tight jeans and glitter and makeup on your face. What are you doing? So if you want to know why Canada's football league is known as a second-rate league in terms of appearance and overall spectacle, check out that halftime show because, even the Mexican football league could probably put on a way better halftime show than what we brought. We did not bring the goods in terms of that. And really, we didn't bring the goods of the game, but the whole weekend overall, I think, was fantastic for the city of Toronto.
Yeah.
But we'll keep it to the NFL now, moving from the good old Canadian football game to now, the American pastime of the National Football League. Really an interesting situation over the past couple weeks has developed in the city of San Francisco as, Alex Smith gets knocked out of a game against St. Louis, has a concussion. Colin Kaepernick comes in, plays maybe okay there, but then past 2 weeks against Chicago and now against New Orleans, he's looked fantastic and looks like he could be the starter. So who do you think the San Francisco 49ers should go with as the starting quarterback?
I think they should go with whoever Harbaugh feels the best about. He needs to really look into this.
That's kind of my question to you.
Well, okay, there you go. Well, I'm going to get into that. He needs to look into this and see who he feels. I personally think he should go with Alex Smith because it is more of a conservative choice. I know that. However, you can put Alex Smith back in there at this point. You haven't done that much damage because you could still say you were worried about him last week. So I still think you can put Alex Smith in. He can still be your bona fide starter as he was before the injury. And you've seen now that Kaepernick can come off the bench and play. So if you put Alex Smith in and in a couple weeks he's not showing you what you want, that Kaepernick will come in and he'll be able to play like he has in the last couple of games. So on the other side of the coin, if you put Kaepernick in, I think Alex Smith is done. Alex Smith is no longer invested in the 49ers. He will be pissed. You saw him on the sidelines on Sunday. He was definitely not very happy by not being out there on the field. And Alex Smith has every right to. So if I'm Harbaugh, I go with the conservative choice. I start Alex Smith on Sunday. But all that aside, he needs to make a choice because not even for these two quarterbacks, for the 49ers team, for the offense, they need to know who the offensive leader is going to be in weeks to come. So he needs to come out. It doesn't necessarily have to be the media or anything, so I don't know about that. But in the change room, he needs to tell the team Alex Smith is the starter or Kaepernick is the starter because they need to know.
Well, I think they definitely need to know who they want to go with for sure. But the guy I think they go with, and I really think they probably ended up doing this, is they keep going with Colin Kaepernick. I think Colin Kaepernick really is the guy for the 49ers. I think he brings a whole new dynamicness to that team. And, the way the quarterback position in the game of football as a whole seems to be going is, have an arm, but have some wheels and be able to scramble. And while Smith does have a good set of running on him as a strong ability, it's not compared to what Colin Kaepernick can can bring to the San Francisco 49ers. As well, it really seems like the team of San Francisco is just rallied around Colin Kaepernick, more so than anyone really has around Alex Smith. As you know, Kaepernick threw that interception against New Orleans, but they bounced back pretty I think the next play, the San Francisco defense really stepped up and picks off Drew Brees and brings it to the house. I don't know, I mean, that's maybe a bad read or whatever, but it just to me got the vibe, well, we're playing for Kaepernick here to make him, come off maybe a little bit better than maybe what he is, but he's just been able to manage the game really well. And as well, I think if the 49ers get rid of Smith, I think it's a good thing for both because, Alex Smith has been there for a very long time. Some people would say he's a draft bust for the 49ers, considering they could have taken Aaron Rodgers at that position. And, he gets revitalized for 1 year. But then again, when you look at what happens in the offseason, they had that fantastic season NFC Championship game. They're indulged in looking at getting Peyton Manning. I mean, if you didn't have any faith in your quarterback then, why would you have any faith in Alex Smith now? Though. It is Peyton Manning, but still, you just went to the NFC Championship game with this quarterback at your leading position on your offense. The Super Bowl, though. Still, it went to overtime, and because of special teams is why you lost that game, really. So, I mean, if he leaves, I think it's a good thing for Alex Smith. There's plenty of teams that really need a quarterback, and I think San Francisco, they've moved on. They've got a guy that they can really trust in Colin Kaepernick. He's young, he's agile, and he knows how to play the game well, and I can totally see them going with Colin Kaepernick for the future, because the future is now for San Francisco. Moving on, though, I think that really, we're kind of split on the middle here, but I guess we'll really know the answer in a couple weeks or as the season indulges down the line here. Yeah. But moving on here, a big Thursday nighter. I mean, this Thursday nighter is probably the best one that the NFL has lined up of the season compared to some of the duds that we'd seen, like, Buffalo, Miami, not that exciting. Even for me as a Bills fan as well, the Colts and Jaguars. This one is a real deal game because you have the Falcons who, they've been in two real barn burners the past 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I think their defense has more so won it than their offense. As well, the Saints, now they've come off a loss against the 49ers, but they'd won 5 or 4 straight. So I definitely, they're on a roll, and they did beat Atlanta. They were the ones to only put that blemish on Atlanta's record. So I'll let you start. Who do you like in this one in the Georgia Dome?
Well, Saints need to win this. They're sitting at 5-6 right now. 6-6 is way different than 5-7. Let me tell you, if they want to compete for that final wild card spot, it's got to be this game. They got to come out and give Atlanta their second loss of the season and be the only team to beat Atlanta all season. And Atlanta can't do what happened last time. They can't get in a shootout with New Orleans. New Orleans defense is bad, so you're going to get points on them. It's up to Atlanta's defense to stop the Saints. And as you said just a couple seconds ago, Atlanta's defense has won their last couple games for them. So for that reason, I really do think that Atlanta is going to learn from their loss and unfortunately beat the Saints. I still like the Saints. I want them to make the wild card, but I think they're going to lose this on Thursday, and it's going to hurt them a lot.
See, I think this is going to be a real competitive game. I think no matter what, you don't want it to be a shootout. It's going to be a shootout.
I hope so.
in how these teams play each other, at least the past couple seasons. Whether it's in New Orleans or Atlanta, it's going to be a shootout. It's going to come down to the wire. I think the last time these teams played in Atlanta, if memory serves me correct, was when Atlanta decided to go from 4th and 2 in their own end, and it did not work out for them. They lost that game to New Orleans. But I think, New Orleans is a team that I still always think has Atlanta's number. I don't know what it is. Drew Brees knows how to pick apart a defense, especially one like that may have had some trouble against, Tampa Bay. And if it wasn't for, maybe Tampa Bay being really young in terms of defense, maybe Atlanta doesn't get back in that game. I'm going to lean with the Saints here on the road. I think, they played a team that has maybe one of the second best defense, at least in the NFC, in San Francisco last week. I think they can bounce back, have their run game do what it did against Atlanta the last week, and Drew Brees as well can make some big connections there with Graham and Henderson and crew. So I like the Saints on the road this week, and I really do see them making the wild card, honestly. I don't think Seattle has enough gas in the tank to get that job done.
If they jump this hurdle, God, yeah, they're definitely a top choice for that wild card.
I think they will get it, but because Seattle, I still don't know what to think of that team totally. But moving down, our game to watch of the week is, of course, the Baltimore Ravens, who are coming off a bit of a come-from-behind victory. Well, not a bit, a come-from-behind victory against the San Diego Chargers, mainly after coming off of a 4th and 30, 4th and 29, actually, I believe it was, and picked up 30 yards against the San Diego Chargers. Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers are reeling after coming off a loss to the Cleveland Browns and committing 8 turnovers. Yes, 8. Granted, had a third-string quarterback in there, and he threw some picks and fumbled a couple times, but more his run game and special teams, they were the ones dropping the ball here. So, once again, I mean, it was a close matchup just a few weeks ago, actually, where the Pittsburgh went down by a field goal to Baltimore. Do you see the same thing happening here, or does Ben Roethlisberger step back into the lineup and they get the job done against the Ravens?
It's going to be weird because I think this season, these two teams, when they're playing each other, the away team's going to win, which is both these teams play so well at home. I think Steelers are going to win this week, and I'll tell you why. They're very motivated after that embarrassing loss to Cleveland. Their run game is going to have something to prove, and the Ravens' run defense hasn't been looking all that great due to these injuries. They scraped by San Diego last week. They're not looking the way that they used to. Their offense just isn't all that explosive, and I think that's basically why the Steelers win. They have something to prove. Ben has said that he's going to try to play. I think if it comes down, if he's medically cleared, then he's going to play. Pain is not a factor for Ben. And in fact, I think if he plays injured, he plays better. So that's another reason I'm taking the Steelers on this one.
See, I think, if Roethlisberger gets in there, I mean, I do agree. Pain isn't that big for him because, you're out there, the adrenaline. Adrenaline's always the best drug because it's a natural built-up drug inside you, and no painkiller can top what adrenaline has. But I think what we can really learn from last week's game for Pittsburgh against Cleveland was, the run game for the Browns. Now, sure, they have Trent Richardson, a top-end draft pick from Alabama that they have, and he's one of the best in the league. Mm-hmm. But Baltimore also has a really good run guy in terms of Ray Rice. So I think that Ray Rice guy, he's really sticky. So I think they can use him enough to, beat up the hole, beat up the front four of the Steelers, and that's going to give Flacco more time to hit, his crew in terms of like Pitta and Bolden. So I still lean with Baltimore. I think Baltimore over the past few seasons does have Pittsburgh's number. I don't think Pittsburgh's a playoff team this year, and I didn't think they were at the start of the year. I think they're a little too old, and I think that still they had issues in getting certain guys signed, like Mike Wallace. I still think that's going to be a big thing, and it really shows these couple weeks without Roethlisberger could have just been the end of their season. Little did we know. And speaking of end of seasons, it could be not just an end of season for certain coaches in the league. It could be end of jobs for once the season's over, because there's a couple coaches I think could be on the cutting block. At least 2 for sure are going to get cut, and I think that's Andy Reid in Philadelphia. I think they're going to at least wait till
I think that's a definite.
I think they're going to at least wait till the end of the season to get rid of him, because they will show him some class and respect, because he's gone through some stuff, as his son did pass away this year, and he's been such a big part of that organization as well. North Turner with San Diego. I think those are the 2 definite coaches that will be fired. The other guys up on, I think, the potential cutting block is, Rex Ryan with the Jets, Ron Rivera with the Panthers, and maybe Jim Schwartz with the Lions, just how poor the team has done compared to being a playoff team. I still don't think they're going to cut Schwartz. I think Schwartz is a perfect guy for that team. I think he has a job for another year. Mm-hmm. They did make the playoffs last year, but the other people we just talked about, Rivera and Ryan, where do you see them being in the NFL?
Well, Rex Ryan, this is his 4th year. The first 2 years he came in with the Jets, they went to the AFC Championship, Jay.
I know. It was exciting.
Last 2 years, they haven't really done much, haven't really made much of a splash. So from what I see, he inherited a championship team, And then ever since he's been there, it's just crumbled. So I gotta say, if I am a Jets fan, I want Rex Ryan out of there. He's made a lot of bad decisions. I don't know why he brought in Tebow, considering we haven't seen him at all. He brings him in the offseason and has done absolutely nothing with him. I thought last Thursday, you're down by that much. Why not throw Tebow in? I feel like he is not doing.
Apparently, he had broken ribs or sore.
Oh, okay. So he was injured. But I think at this point he's just not doing things just so that it's not perceived as he was told to do it or whatnot. He's just got way too big of an ego. I want him out of there. In terms of Jim Schwartz, he has had a couple mess ups. I mean, last Thursday throwing that flag, mind you, stupid rule by the NFL. I'm not going to get into it though. That is his mistake, and you even saw it. He said, "My bad." And that cost them that game, I think. So I think he's on thin ice, but I really don't, even if they finish this season with a losing record, I don't think they take him out. They played pretty well last season, and I think this is just a minor dip in a developing team. I think you gotta stick with him through tough times, and I think he'll be okay. I like his passion and stuff, and I think the players do too, but I think along with the entire team, he needs to learn a few more things too in order to be a really big contender in the playoffs.
I still think they keep Schwartz. I mean, the team's playing in competitive games. I mean, they lost a heartbreaker last week at home on Thanksgiving to Houston. I think really the issue that the Lions have had is just how they let the success get to their head from last season with certain players on their defense, getting DUIs and just being complete fools off there, and even acting complete fools in the games. Like look at Ndamukong Suh, kicking Matt Schaub right in the crotch. I mean, he can say that he didn't do it on purpose, but when you look at the replay, I mean, it's physics, it's force. Like look how his leg is going, and I think that's his big issue. Ryan, I think, has just dug his own grave by what happened in the offseason, how they get Tebow, how they get Tony Sparano as this offensive coordinator to spice things up offensively, and they couldn't score a touchdown in the preseason, and they've looked pretty sluggish in most of the games they've had this year. I really see Rex Ryan potentially being gone in New York. I don't know if maybe the Jets may keep him for one more year. I mean, he is in a media darling city, and he gives great quotes, so I could see them maybe thinking of just keeping him for media reasons.
No,
but it's New York, and they definitely want winners. Ron Rivera's the other guy. I think with the Panthers, it's his second year. I think we can't hold too much on him losing his job. I think he stays another season. I mean, the Panthers did get the W on Monday Night Football, and they looked pretty well.
Eagles.
But still, if you looked at record-wise, the Panthers were the worst team, and the Panthers have been playing competitive football. It's more so they just need some playmakers on offense for Cam to spice it up a little more than just Greg Olsen and LaFay. Steve Smith's at the end of his road, I think, really. And the defense just needs at least a big name in there or something to make the big play when it counts, because they've lost a lot of games close, and that just really hurts. But that's really about it for the coaches. I think with the exception of Reed and Turner and maybe Rex Ryan, I'm really throwing the he getting gone axe situation. I think Jim Schwartz and Ron Rivera, you'll stay with your teams for another season in the National Football League.
Good work.
But speaking of Ron Rivera's Panthers, they just came off a victory over the Philadelphia Eagles, and they play on Sunday night against the Dallas Cowboys, a team where really
the Eagles played.
That's what I just said.
Sorry.
They play the Eagles, who play on the Cowboys.
Okay,
yes,
perfect.
Pay attention. So I mean, the Cowboys play the Eagles, and really another game where the Cowboys kind of revitalized their season in a way, as they went to Philly, got the W there, and looked good. Not only offensively, I think the offense looked, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a 6, but more so defensively and special teams, they looked fantastic in that game against the Eagles. Even knocked Michael Vick out of that game.
Hasn't played since.
Hasn't played since, and the Eagles have not played since either. The Cowboys, I mean, close loss against the Redskins. For a while, they looked pretty awful, actually. Gave up, 21 points in that second quarter. That's disgusting. They're playing the Eagles, who they could just buy touchdowns if they'd like to. They couldn't hang on to the football on Monday against Carolina. Who do you like in this pivotal matchup in your division, mind you?
Yeah, once again, can they both lose? No, too bad. Okay, going with Dallas in this one. Just Philly, man, even last night, I know they were missing McCoy and Vic and a few other guys. They just look so bad. Dallas has kind of been, now they're a 500 team. They win a game, they lose a game. They're kind of bouncing back and forth. They lost to the Redskins on Thursday, so I think they bounced back, beat Philly. They beat Philly pretty well last time, so I think they have their number this season. And I think Romo and Dez kind of put on another show.
I like Dallas as well. I think I think Romo's leadership will be enough to beat a Philly defense that in the secondary has just looked so putrid and awful in the past couple weeks that I don't think it's going to be hard for the weapons that Dallas has to have a big day offensively. So I like the Cowboys, and even if the Eagles get on top, I think Dallas has enough intestinal fortitude to get back in that game. They are, I think, really more of a second half team, more so than any other team in the league if anything bad happens. And that moves us to Monday night with another pivotal matchup in the NFC East, as it's the Redskins hosting the New York Giants. And now the Giants get a victory in November, something I didn't know it was possible after a Super Bowl winning season. As well, the Redskins looking for that wild card spot as well. They're looking to be in there trying to jumpstart Seattle and the New Orleans. So who do you like at RFK?
Well, I mean, the other stat that I picked Green Bay. I'm so sorry, Giants. I picked Green Bay last Sunday. And I shouldn't have, though, because Coughlin, I didn't know this. Apparently, he's undefeated off of buys, that is a great thing in terms of coaching. Apparently, he gave the whole team a week off. They're all refreshed now. November's over. The pressure of November is off of them, and I think they started rolling. They're building up the momentum for that Super Bowl run. I think they make a statement here against the Redskins, against a divisional team who played them pretty tough last time they met. And I think they make a statement here and come out and win big again. It's in Washington, though, so maybe a little bit tougher. But no, I got to go with the Giants. I think their offense is going to click. Their defense looked really good. And they didn't really have too big of an issue containing RG3 last time. So as long as they do the same thing with that, I think they'll be fine. And yeah, the only thing is I think they lost Brown, their running back, which is kind of a big hit. He's been leading them in rushing the last couple of games, but I mean, they got guys who can step up. Is he on for the year?
He's on for the year with a leg injury.
So anyway, so they have people who can step up and work in there. And I mean, when you got Eli, anything's possible. I think they're going to run all over the Redskins.
I, as well, like the Giants. I think they did a fantastic job containing RG3. I think when it comes down to it, is defense wins games, and I think the Giants' defense is definitely superior to the Redskins' defense. I think they'll do enough to contain RG3. I think the Redskins are a team that is a playoff team, but just not this year. I think they're working on what they have in progress. They've lost some games that I don't think they should have lost. They've also dealt with some injuries for RG3's targets, like mainly Pierre Garçon, who's one of RG3's favorite targets. He had a foot injury or a toe injury the whole season, basically, that's been nagging him. So I think in next year, if he can stay 100% healthy, I really like these Redskins as a playoff team, but not this year. I think they make it a close game once again. I think these two teams are going to be very close for many years to come with Eli versus RG3. So, but I like the Giants on their defense alone. So I think the Giants get back into people, somehow because of the success of Chicago and the 49ers. And we kind of remember that the Giants did just win the Super Bowl, and they're coming back to try to repeat this year. So Giants on that train for Giant fans, I guess, another chance at the Super Bowl. But that's where we're kind of winding down here on time. We're running out of time. We're in our 2-minute drill here. So we'll just go to our favorite segment here, Quick Picks. So we'll start off with my beloved Buffalo Bills hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who do you like in that one?
I'll go with your Bills.
See, these teams play each other actually really close. I think the Jaguars actually have found a new starter in Chad Henne, and he looks fantastic in that offense. I kind of like Jacksonville against Buffalo. Indianapolis and Detroit.
My boy Luck. Indy.
I think as well, I like Indy. It's not like it's going to be any different from how they play at home. It's in a dome at Ford Field. And the Lions, I don't know, man. They've been in too many close games, and I like the Colts. The Panthers and Chiefs.
I mean, Carolina, they looked all right, albeit against Philly, but I got to go with Carolina.
Exactly. I got to go with Carolina. I mean, the saying goes, you can't lose them all, but however, if you're Kansas City, you can. The Arizona Cardinals and the New York Jets.
Unfortunately, I gotta go with the Jets.
Yeah, I as well. I think the Jets at home. Who knows who the Cardinals are gonna start? Like they've just been on a quarterback carousel.
That's the biggest thing.
So I like the Jets. And the Cardinals have just thankfully fallen back to earth. The Cincinnati Bengals and the San Diego Chargers.
I think Cincinnati is the correct answer here. They're a team who's also rolling.
Yes, I will take Cincinnati because name a team that can't keep a lead when they're up by 10. I'll take that for 1,000, Alex. That's the San Diego Chargers. They can't do that. So I like the Bengals. They've looked fantastic offensively the past couple weeks. So Cincinnati on the road. And lastly, the Oakland Raiders at home against the Cleveland Browns.
Oakland has not looked good in the last couple weeks, and yet they're favored in this. But I'm going with Cleveland, man. I gotta go with them.
I like Oakland when they play at home, but like you said, their defense has been giving up way too many points. I think if you look at the past 4 weeks, it could be over a total of like 300 points that defense has given up, which is never good for anyone. It was a rough week for them last week. Carson Palmer returning to Cincinnati. He didn't get the welcome he hoped to get. I like the Browns, though. The only issue I have is there will probably not be any Brandon Whedon, has a concussion. He's probably out of that game. I'm going to have to be a lot on Trent Richardson. And I think that defense is a lot better than a lot of people think it is. So I'm going to lean Cleveland on the road. Once again, I like a lot of road teams. For some reason, I think it's less pressure for them on the road right now. So that's going to do it for this week of First and 10. We'll be back next week. Same Batman time, same Batman channel. For Matt, I'm out. Peace.